Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay for my sister's husband's surgery with my inheritance/college money? Context. My sister, female 27, and I, 18, female, lost our dad a year ago. He was my only parent as mom was never in mine or my sister's life. Dad left money, inheritance, for me and sister, and she used her inheritance to get new cars and renovate her house. I live with my aunt right now because my brother-in-law didn't let me stay with my sister, and I'm planning on using my inheritance money to pay for college tuition. I've always wanted to be a doctor but haven't decided which branch yet. My sister and I haven't been close. It started after she got married to her chronically ill husband, who was allowed to make backhanded comments about Dad and mock his illness, and make a scene at his funeral, only because he's ill and should be held accountable for his behavior. I've distanced myself, but my sister kept visiting a lot lately, venting about my brother-in-law's condition. He's been in and out of hospital for heart problems and in need of a surgery. She brought up my inheritance money several times, but I ended up cutting the conversation. She then straight up asked if I could help pay for her husband's surgery, and that she'd pay it back in less than a year. I felt uneasy because if I give her money for my inheritance, which is a large amount, then there's no guarantee she'll pay me back before it's time to apply for college. I'm taking a year gap, but I know my sister can't pay back that much and I felt I was risking my future. So I refused to help, and she had a meltdown at my aunt's house, calling me heartless and cruel with no empathy. She said that her husband's health should be a priority, and I needed to help because education is nothing compared to someone's health, and asked if I'd be happy to see her as a widow and my nephew with no father. My aunt suggested others pay, but most of them cut my sister and her husband off. I argued that her husband's poor health isn't my fault, after she kept blaming and guilt-tripping me. She kept crying, and although my aunt decided to stay out of it, she said that I should be prepared for permanent damage to my relationship with my sister if I don't help her now. She's been sending texts and pictures of her family, telling me this is what I was saying no to. A happy, healthy family with a healthy husband and father. I cried and felt like I was being selfish and not good aunt and sister. I asked my friend about it, and he said let them sell the cars and all the luxurious stuff they bought to afford the surgery, and warned me that if I give them the money, I'll never get it back, and may not be able to go to medical school. Now for the top comments. Your friend is correct. You'll never get the money back because sister isn't willing to give up her luxurious lifestyle. She chose how to spend her inheritance, didn't save for a rainy day, and isn't entitled to yours because of her poor financial planning. Not an a-hole. I'm not sure whether they still have anything of value, because I remember my aunt talking about my sister selling her car in May. Cars depreciate in value quickly. It still isn't your problem that she decided to spend all of her inheritance unwisely. They're trying to live outside of their means as a family, which means if you give any money, be prepared to not get it back. Don't be surprised if you keep getting asked for more until you're left with nothing. You can have this relationship with your sister, or you can pay for medical school. You can't have both. But your sister and her husband seem toxic, so distancing from them should be your first step. Not a hole. I agree. I think sister torpedoed the idea of family when she left her 17-year-old sister scrambling for a home. I hope he wasn't family then. Not a hole. Your sister chose to spend money she got less than a year ago on expensive things, instead of planning for the future like you did. Easy come, easy go, as they say. Do not give them a penny of your money. They have options they don't want to take, and that's not on you. You're not getting that money back if you lend it. You'll become a fine doctor someday. I'm rooting for you. And she did all that knowing her husband was chronically ill and would inevitably need medical care of some kind, which gets expensive quick. It should have been a no-brainer for the sister to stash her inheritance aside in anticipation of needing it for medical bills. Instead, she spent it selfishly, like assuming she could bully Opie into coughing up her share when sister finally needed it. Not a hole. Your sister is manipulating you. She received the same money you did. If her husband is chronically ill, then she should have saved that money for his care, instead of spending it on luxury items. She probably always planned to spend her money on yours. Will refusing to give her the money damage your relationship with her? Probably. But do you really want to give up your future to preserve the relationship you have with her now? Because it sounds like a terrible one. And don't think that giving her this money will improve the relationship at all. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for not wanting to help financially support my sister-in-law's family while she tries to make their circumstances better? This is something that has bothered me the last few days, so I want to get some honest feedback here. My husband and I come from very different backgrounds. He came from a pretty wealthy family and never really needed to worry about school/work because he and his sister were cuddled by their parents and spoiled. But he always had this ambition to be a vet, and thankfully he was willing to work towards it. While I came from a dirt poor family. My parents were both addicts too. And I have dyslexia and was unsupported at home or in school because my parents never took the steps to get me help, but I was able to muddle through. I ended up with a GED and I went to community college. Eventually found my talent with numbers and was able to get a solid job once I realized I did have the ability. It was hard, but we worked hard though. And I don't say this to brag, but because it was so hard for me, I have less sympathy for my sister-in-law than my husband does, because she made choices that led her here. But anyway, she's married, was living off her husband's job, but now they have 5 kids under 7 and they're struggling. My husband gave her money before, should say borrowed, but it was never paid back, and that was fine. But now she asked him if we would agree to lend some financial assistance while she gets an education to broaden her job horizons. She said it would take 2 years. We could document every cent and she would pay it all back. She said she knows she needs to do better for her family and that her husband can't shoulder it all anymore. My husband asked me what I thought, and I was honest. I wasn't okay with supporting them for 2 years because it means putting some of our wishes on hold for quite a bit. We wanted to buy a gaming PC for our family, which we had saved for. We wanted to fix up our basement too, so we can use it. Those 2 things would cost money that we would only have in our emergency fund if we start to give his sister money. And it's selfish, I know. But we work so hard for it. And I'm finally in a place where I can realistically do stuff like this and I don't want to give it up. My husband said he understood, and he told his sister no. She was pissed, and she blamed me despite him saying we didn't feel comfortable contributing for 2 years. She knows her brother, and knew he would do it in a heartbeat if it was just his decision, which she would. And she told me the kids are ultimately the ones who suffer and will grow up just like me. And she hopes I can live with that. My husband told her that was uncalled for, but she is kinda right. Without making these changes and working towards the better, nothing will change for them. And they're already struggling on one income and her not having any skills for a job. So tell me, Reddit, am I the a-hole? Edited to Ed. Should have also mentioned my husband's parents no longer had the wealth they once did, hence them not helping. Not the a-hole. You worked to provide for your family, not someone else's family. What if after 2 years she still doesn't find a job or gets pregnant? She chose to have 5 kids. She needs to take responsibility for them. That was my thought too. Or if she quits part of the way too because it's too tough. A lot of possibilities have crossed my mind. Not the a-hole. I don't wish to be disrespectful to your sister-in-law, but with 5 kids under 7? I think the likelihood of her quitting is unfortunately pretty high. This feels like you're being asked to fund her middle-class self-improvement fantasy, instead of her doing the actual thing that would help her family, which is to go and get a job. Not the a-hole. Student loans exist for the exact reason she's trying to use you as her bank. Of course, you actually have to pay those back, unlike her track record of paying you back. Don't take responsibility for a situation you had nothing to do with creating. Not the a-hole. Thankfully, your husband backed you and stood up for you. Since she plans to document every cent and pay you back, she can get an educational loan instead from you. Given her history, I doubt you would ever see a penny back if you loaned her money. With 5 kids, there would always be an excuse as to why she could not repay you. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not sharing my car with my stepbrother? My parents are divorced but cordial. My mother married my stepdad when I was 11. I have a stepbrother who is my age, and a half-brother who is 4. My dad recently bought me a new car for my birthday, and my brother also had bought a car which he bought with his money. It was secondhand but in good condition. Just a few days after I got my car, he had a crash, in which his car was severely damaged. This was not the first time he was reckless with a car. Earlier, he had almost crashed his father's car as well, with me in the backseat and his father in the front. It is one of the reasons my stepdad refused to buy him a car. A few days back when I returned from my friend's house who lived nearby, I saw my car gone from the driveway. I immediately ran into the house and started looking, asking my mom and stepdad about it. My stepdad looked bewildered, But my mom calmly got up from her seat and told me she had given my car to my stepbrother to go visit his friends who live quite some distance away. I started to panic and ask her why she would do that. She simply said that it's what siblings do, and from then on, me and my stepbrother could use the car on alternate days. By this point, my stepdad had come over to us and told her she shouldn't have done it without my permission. He told her if anything happened to the car, then she would have to pay. She agreed. Well, something did happen. Stepbrother crashed the car. Hood, headlights, and airbags needed to be replaced. I informed my father about this, and after assessing the damage and him learning what led to this, he immediately said either stepbrother or mother has to pay for part of the repair cost which the insurance doesn't cover. My mother tried to negotiate, but he wouldn't budge. She asked stepdad and he wouldn't help either, so she had to give the money from her savings. Yesterday, after the car had come back from the mechanic, she came to me and asked for my car keys. I asked what was up, and she reminded me of the alternative day policy. I told her she was out of her mind to even think I would share the car with my stepbrother after all this. But she just said she had promised stepbrother his share of days. And that is also the reason she had a car repaired so both of us could use it. I took the car keys and locked the door from my room. She then called me ungrateful, and my stepbrother said I was depriving him of meeting his friends and he was suffering. But my stepdad later came and put a stop to it. The only reason I think I might be the a-hole is because I know my stepbrother wasn't lying about his mental health issues. He has had to see a therapist because of it. His friends have been really helpful in his struggle with his mental health, and my mother did say she would pay for the damages. So, I don't know. Should I just give my stepbrother another chance? Am I the a-hole? Also, I did offer to drive my brother to his friends, but he straight up refused, saying it would embarrass him. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Apparently, he's more concerned with his embarrassment than his mental health issues. Tell him to Uber. I agree. His mental health issues are, you guessed it, his issues. He shouldn't be driving, much less Opie's car. Opie was also nice enough to offer to drive stepbrother to his friend's house who lived far away. Not the a-hole. I work in insurance. Holy hell. How are they affording coverage for this kid? It is probably about $4,000 for 6 months at this rate. And why does mom think Opie's ungrateful? She didn't get her the car. Her dad did. Why should Opie be grateful to mom for giving her car to her brother who promptly crashed it? Not the a-hole. This kid is constantly crashing cars, and his own mother thinks it's a smart and reasonable idea to let him keep getting behind the wheel. Get bent. He can take public transit or get a ride from someone. Not even his mom. It's the stepbrother stepmother who's bending over backwards. It makes literally zero sense. Not the a-hole. She can let him use her car if it's so important for him to drive. Exactly. If she thinks it's that important, she can cart him around. If you think riding with your brother is embarrassing, imagine being chauffeured by mom. Not the a-hole. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to do my stepdaughter's dishes and laundry? My husband and I share 3 kids. His daughter 12 and son 11 from his first marriage, who we have full custody of and have lived with full-time since they were toddlers, and our daughter 7. Lately our oldest, who we'll call Amy, has been acting out towards me. She's constantly saying that I'm lazy and do nothing around the house, and undermining me in front of her siblings. Whenever I ask her to do anything, she'll grumble and call me things like lazy idiot under her breath. The other day, when I asked the kids to clean up the mess they left on the table, I heard her tell her brother that I wasn't their real mom, and that they didn't have to listen to me. I have no idea where this came from, as I have always thought of myself as their mom, and have done everything but legally adopt them as my own. I don't have the kids to do a lot of chores, but I just ask they keep their rooms clean. My husband usually makes dinner as he is a much better cook than I am, and I do the dishes. I vacuum and mop the floors once a week, clean the cat litter boxes, and do everyone's laundry. Last night, when I asked Amy to clean up some paint supplies she left scattered on the floor, she called me a lazy jerk who expects her to do everything. I said, fine then. She can do her own chores from now on. Sure enough, after dinner, I did everyone's dishes but hers. I also did laundry this morning but left hers in her hamper. When I told her she had to do her own dishes and laundry, she exploded and went crying to my husband, who said I was being too harsh and singling her out. I'm really at my wit's end here. I tried asking her if she wants to talk. I've tried being nice, I've tried being firm. Am I really being the a-hole? Not the a-hole. She is simply being a rebellious teenager. But you and your husband need to get on the same page and try to get this behavior under control. Otherwise, it will spiral quickly. You say she's leaving paint supplies out. I'd say give her 10 minutes to clean it up or it's going in the bin. Added to add that this was meant to be portrayed as a joke. It was something my mom used to say as a way to get us to clean things we wouldn't. There was once a time she had a Wii in her cupboard while saying she had binned it. Needless to say, when we got it back a few weeks later, it was always packed away. Not the a-hole. Teens? Oh boy. I have two, 13 and 15. Some days shaking my head. I swear I'm going to roll my eyes one too many times and they'll be permanently stuck that way. I agree you and your husband must be on the same page. Teens will push and push to see how far they can. You both must be the wall and teach them rules, boundaries, and consequences. It's not easy, and sure as heck not fun. What you did isn't harsh. Harsh would be trying to teach her a lesson by having her do everyone's chores instead of just her own. What you did was hold her accountable, and she didn't like it. That's why she ran to her dad. Not stay home, but I would like to know what your husband's take on her horrible behavior is. If he wants to talk harsh, then ask him about what she's been doing to you. Compared to what you've described, what you did was downright tame. Unless he wants to find himself in a position where he is literally choosing between his wife and his daughter, he needs to daddy up and deal with his child. Not the a-hole. Your oldest doesn't seem to have a problem bad-mouthing and claiming you don't do anything. So you only not educate her, but gave her a fair consequence. I say bravo.
My wedding is on the 25th, but now my fiancé says he isn't sure if we should get married. Original post. My wedding is supposed to happen 20 days from now. However, my fiancé says he is not sure if he can go through with it. I, 28 female, have tried to help him, 30 male, figure out if he's just having normal pre-wedding nerves or cold feet, but he says he doesn't know. He swears he's not having an affair or hiding anything from me, but he isn't sure if we should go through with the wedding. We have people coming from all over the province, but he's second-guessing getting married, and I'm not even sure what to do. We have been together for 4 years. We have lived together for 2 years and have been engaged for over a year. He's never displayed any problems with commitment. I've never had to give him any ultimatums or push him along when it comes to moving forward in our relationship. Up until 8 days ago, he was enthusiastic about our wedding and us looking for a house. We haven't had any big life changes or bad news recently, so I don't know where his hesitation is coming from. No family problems either. Each of our families loves the other and is excited about the wedding. I love him, and this is scaring me because he won't even tell me why he suddenly feels this way. The wedding is supposed to be on the 25th. And he's refusing to let me in or help him figure out his feelings. I don't even know what to do now. Now for the top advice before reading the update. If he won't talk to you or deal with this appropriately, then I think you should appreciate that he is showing you who he really is. If he is unable to be an adult about this issue, he will never be able to deal with the much more difficult and serious issues that come up in married life. You are fortunate to learn this now instead of after you get married. It's time to tell him to get on the phone today and call both sets of your parents and tell them that he is canceling the wedding because he has decided he is unsure about getting married and doesn't know why. I hope they aren't going to be out a lot of money. If they are, he needs to reimburse them. And don't you even think about making excuses for him. He's jerked you around long enough. Next, he needs to call each guest and tell them the same thing. These guests are spending time and money. He needs to give them as much advance notice as possible. He also needs to cancel all the vendors and pay for your personal out-of-pocket expenses. This is on him for waiting way too long and not having any kind of explanation. Stop babying him. That time is past. It's time to start mitigating the damages. Just want to clarify that there are no parents to call. Neither of us have any living parents. Also, no one else paid for our wedding. He and I paid for everything ourselves. Apologies for any confusion. I didn't say anything about our parents or someone else paying for our wedding in my post, so I wanted to clarify. Thank you for replying. Getting married isn't this big, awful, frightening commitment society makes you think it is. Like, it's a big commitment, don't get me wrong, but he shouldn't be acting like this out of nowhere. Even if he's nervous, which is normal, he should still be enthusiastic. There is a reason this is coming up, and it may not be anything terrible, but if he isn't willing to see a couples therapist immediately about this, then in my honest opinion, you should call off or at least postpone the wedding. Don't marry him or anyone who doesn't want to marry you. You should not have to convince or beg. Tell him to cover any costs lost and reimburse you for what you've spent. Get it in writing, as he's not someone you should trust. You will find someone who knows you're the first place prize, not a consolation prize or someone to settle with because they think they can find better. Leave him with your head held high. You will find someone who loves and respects you as much as you love and respect them. Not marrying someone like this and finding out later that they're crappy is better than them causing you problems or trauma later and then getting a divorce. Don't think about others' thoughts or the time you wasted. That'll make you stay in something that's not good for you. Go be awesome alone until you meet the right one. Good luck. Now for the update 3 months later. My update is that I didn't get married, my relationship is over, and I'm blocking him and moving out tomorrow. I want to thank everyone who left supportive comments on my last post. They were appreciated. Whenever I asked him if he thought it was cold feet, if something happened, etc., he always just said he didn't know. We had guests driving in from all over the province, so the day after my post, I told everyone the wedding was postponed. Fortunately, anyone who isn't local was able to cancel their hotel reservations without penalty, and everyone got a refund from what they bought off our registry. I would have felt horrible if any of our guests had lost money over this. I suggested we go to counseling to figure this out. He agreed, but then on the day of our first appointment, he said he was fine to get married. When we went to the appointment, he told the therapist I overreacted by canceling the wedding and blamed me for all the money we lost. The venue and all of our vendors had 30-day cancellation clauses, and he didn't start saying we shouldn't get married until after the cancellation deadline. After how he acted at the appointment, I knew I couldn't marry him. He was shocked when I refused to renew our lease together and said I was moving out. I try not to care what anyone thinks, but at least all of our family and friends think he was unreasonable, and don't blame me. Canceling a wedding is expensive, but divorce is more expensive and painful. You did the right thing. This is what really frosts my cookies. He told the therapist I overreacted by canceling the wedding and blamed me for all the money we lost. So, dude was having cold feet, but is now angry because she, rightly, canceled the wedding and they lost money? That makes no sense. What did he expect? That they'd just press on ahead? What an idiot. My guess is he wanted her to grovel or go into the marriage feeling insecure and easy to manipulate. Instead, she pulled the badass boss move, and now he's got nothing and is down money. Smells like justice. Or he did eyeball another lady, wasn't positive whether he should risk it for a biscuit, tried anyway and got rejected, or learnt grass really isn't greener and thought he could still continue with OP. He flat out lied to a therapist while gaslighting you? I don't blame you, and I'm so sorry about the whole relationship. He was shocked over not renewing the lease, but not shocked when you canceled the wedding. His priorities are off. His rationale and logic are off. This is going into toxic, manipulative territory. I have a feeling that you will find out later what the reason was, and it won't be pleasant. Don't be surprised if he starts spinning this to others that you are being dramatic and overreacted, because he's already doing that in front of your face. X didn't want to get married, but he didn't want to act like an adult and look bad, so he made OP suffer and acted all douchey so OP would cancel the wedding, and he could act like the victim now. He can go and say OP did it. He's heartbroken. X is a loser. Next story. My husband walked out after I had a panic attack. I'm alone with our baby, 31 female and 34 male. I'm a stay-at-home mom to our 10-month-old daughter. I moved away from my entire support system to be with my husband, who promised to provide and be an involved father. He was the one who wanted a baby. He was the one who said he wanted me home with her. We agreed before pregnancy that we'd share the load. I'd take care of most of the baby and house stuff since I'd be home, but I still expected help and support. That was the plan. And I've kept up my end. I keep our house clean and organized, do all the laundry for me and the baby, clean the kitchen while I cook, tidy up toys, feed her solids, nurse her, and change her diapers every 2 hours. I take her to doctor appointments, music class, and make her bottles. I try to make extra dinner so he has food to take to work. She's happy, thriving, and loved. I may be tired, but I still show up for her every day. He works 8 to 4, but lately, he and his mom have started pushing this idea that he shouldn't have to lift a finger with a baby after work. They act like I should be doing everything alone, as if asking for help makes me a bad mom or wife. That's not what we agreed to. I don't expect 50-50, but I do expect to be treated like I matter too. Things between us have gotten tense. I've asked for counseling, but he always brushes it off. He says he can't talk to me because I get loud. I don't scream or get out of control, but I do get emotional and passionate when I feel ignored. I've been begging for communication and trying to fix things. The other night, I had a panic attack. I screamed into a pillow behind a closed door while the baby was in another room. I was overwhelmed and trying to cope silently. His response was to call me toxic, hand me our sleeping baby, and walk out. He said he was going to a friend's house, but the friend said he never showed up. Then he ignored my calls, turned off his location, and I found out later he checked into a hotel. He still hasn't come back. No answers, except that he refuses to be in the same house as me. Now he's saying I should fly home to my parents and leave the baby with him, so his mom can fly in and care for her. After everything I've done, he wants to take her from me? To make things worse, they're now trying to twist it and say I'm not doing a good job because I was on my phone too much during our recent family vacation. I was burned out. His family was there, so I finally had a minute to breathe. Meanwhile, he complains about giving her baths or doing bedtime. He plays video games while watching her. But I'm the bad mom because I scrolled on my phone while she was surrounded by family? I've never felt so discarded. I gave up everything to be here and raise this baby. I do everything and still get painted as the problem just for needing support. I'm financially stuck. I have no family here. I'm not perfect, but I'm trying. And I don't deserve to be made to feel like I'm nothing. If you've been through anything like this or have advice, please share. I just feel so alone. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. Whatever you do, do not hand this child over to these people. They will categorically use that against you in the future. Knuckle down, knuckle in. Your rules of engagement have been changed mid-game, and that's caught you off guard. But you know now, so you need to get your guard back up. Forget this guy. He's made himself incidental. Focus on you and your daughter. Be the best mother you can muster. He wants the house clean. He or his mother can clean it. He wants dinner. He can figure out the oven. Bro stops getting service and I assure you something will give. Focus on the child. Everything else is a distant second. If you haven't done this already, try to talk to him in text messages to get him to acknowledge that he doesn't help with the child at all and has no interest in doing so. Like maybe you say, I don't understand why I'm the only one taking care of her. Why don't you want to spend time with your child? And then maybe he responds, she's your job. I don't want to deal with that in my free time. Something like that. You want to get evidence that you're the only one doing the parenting. Then talk to a divorce lawyer. OP said she was in Texas, a single-party consent state. Doesn't have to just be text exchanges. She can record all their verbal conversations too. Now for the updates. I just want to clarify something that a few people were concerned about. I'm 1000% taking my baby with me. No matter how exhausted or broken down I feel, I could never leave her. She is my whole world, and I've been her full-time caregiver since day one. We rent, and while he's the main leaseholder, I've poured just as much into this home. While I was pregnant, I worked as a nanny and used that money to buy all of our daughter's furniture, toys, and baby gear. I also sold a lot of my own things to help furnish the house. Probably 80% of what's here is mine. I plan on flying back home Monday with my daughter and staying at my parents' house until we figure out the next step. He's going to have a conversation with me at some point. The hardest part is not knowing what happens after that. The car I've been driving is in his name, and without it, I won't be able to get a job. My parents live in an area that isn't safe to walk or take public transportation, especially with a baby. I would hope we can work something out where I keep the car, but since he won't talk to me, I really don't know what to expect. Final update. His family called my mom and made some really cruel and false claims, saying I'm an unfit mom, that the baby is behind on milestones, that I leave her in front of the TV all day, and that I don't feed her solids so she's starving. None of that is true. I offer her solids daily, she's on track developmentally, and I regularly send updates to my own family. It's clear they're enabling his behavior. He finally reached out, but acted like he's done nothing wrong. When I used the word abandonment in the legal sense, which is exactly what happened, he got extremely triggered. Last night, I took the baby and flew home. We're safe now. He knew we were leaving, saw that I booked the flight, and didn't seem to care. My friend came over and helped me pack and load the car, and he didn't even say goodbye to the baby. Thank you to everyone who's offered support and advice. It really helped me find clarity and strength during all of this. Last story. My girlfriend's clumsiness is driving me up the wall. I love my girlfriend and everything. She's a great person. She's generous, friendly, funny, interesting, the whole nine. But she's clumsy as heck and is costing us both tons of money. When I first met her, it was a little more subtle. Like, we would buy groceries, and she would drop something and break it. But over the years, she's broken so many things, including expensive ones. For starters, when we are out in public, she hits almost everyone with her purse no matter what. She walks with her purse hanging off her shoulder, and it rams into strangers. Often, they turn around and give her a dirty look, and yes, I agree with them. Second, every time she's in a room, my heart starts racing because I know she's going to bump into something and break it, which happens almost all the time. A few months ago, I woke up to a crash that sounded like an iPhone dropping. I woke up and looked, and it was near where my iPhone was. The next day, my iPhone started crashing, and I found out it was damaged beyond repair. She tried to say it was probably because I'm rough with my phone, but no, we both know the truth. Just yesterday, I bought a moderately expensive bottle of cologne and put it on a table. She was close to the table and boom, the cologne falls and explodes. I wasn't even mad or sad. At this point, I'm used to her destroying everything. She tried to get mad at me and asked why I put it on a table, but I quickly shut her down and said that's not important. She was not careful and knocked it over. Today, I come home from work and see she cleaned the house, which was nice, but my iPhone, the new one I had to buy because she broke the old one, was drenched in water. Thank God iPhones are waterproof, but WTF? I get so stressed easily just being around her because I don't know what's going to break next. Honestly, this sounds malicious and intentional. If she truly is that clueless, then she needs to see a doctor. If you really look at what's getting broken, is it the majority of your stuff and are you paying for most of it? If you make her start paying for everything, I bet she either gets mad or she stops breaking things. I am clumsy, but I'm extra careful around my husband's things. I broke the screen of my Garmin after a year of wearing it because when I walk around the house, I hit every single door frame type of clumsy. But I don't break things every time I handle something. But OP's girlfriend seems malicious. If something is on a table or a flat surface, how on earth would she drop it and destroy it? I've dropped my iPhone many times, and it never broke. Drenched in water? What was she doing with your phone? Something is not right here. She sounds privileged, like someone taught her whatever she breaks is replaceable, but her feelings should be spared. Being clumsy is cute. Definitely something like that. She's an only child. One time we were at her parents' house and she dropped 5 plates. They just laughed. That's literally pathological. If you really think she's not in control of herself, she needs to see a doctor and keep seeing one until you get some answers. Does she damage her things too? Or is it mostly your items? Definitely both. I guess I just get the worst of it.